Hi everyone, I'm composer Haley Woodrow, and I'm going to give you some practical tips on how to play the grace notes in Maoz Tzur. So the first place that we get some grace notes is in this solo in line B, going into measure 8. So let's listen, starting at measure 5. So a lot can be learned simply by listening to the recording, of course. But what you have with this, you notice the grace note. You have a little note that comes before the concert D flats in line B, right on beat 1 of measure 8. Now, if you're playing any other part besides treble clef, concert instrument like oboe or flute or mallets, then your pitches are going to be different, but that doesn't matter. What we're really looking for here right now is rhythm. So if you're looking at measure 8, you're going to play that little note just slightly before the beat. You're going to tongue that bia and slur into the note that's on the downbeat. Bia, bia. And whenever you do this, notice that you're getting some accidentals. So you'll have the D flat on beat 1, and then when the grace note comes back, it's a D natural. So one thing that I want to say about that is while you're learning to play these grace notes, if your instrument doesn't do well with the fingering, then you could always adjust the note a little bit. For instance, if we're looking at line B and we have D to D flat, and that doesn't work well on your instrument, what you could consider doing is just making the D on the grace note an E flat instead. So basically, any of the grace notes in Maoz Tzur can be changed for the most part to a half step or a whole step. So I think generally I've put the grace notes as a half step above the pitch that they're going to, but if you want to change it to a whole step, you can. The only thing you have to watch out for is if, say, you had a trumpet playing line B and you also had an oboe playing line B. And let's say the oboe player changed their note to E flat, but the trumpet player didn't, and so he or she is playing a D concert, which for the trumpet is going to be an E. So let's say the trumpet walks in, they're playing a D concert on that grace note, which is an E on their instrument, and then the oboe changed the D to an E flat, then it's not going to sound good. So that's one thing to watch out for whenever you're changing these grace notes. But if you're playing, there's only one person on a part, there's really no reason why you can't change some of these grace notes. And or if you're playing with homogeneous instrument groups, meaning if you're playing just with trumpets or you're playing just with clarinets or something like that, there's really no reason, as long as you're in agreement on what you want to change, that you can. Now, sometimes you're going to get more than one grace note. So if you look at beat 3, oh yeah, is how you play that. So basically, you're going to tongue the first note there. If it's in concert pitch, you see it's a B flat. Then you're going to slur and go back to the note really quickly. But yeah, so whenever I was writing these, I actually was singing them out. So I would sing it out to myself before I would actually write it, and that can be useful for getting these kind of just in your ear before you try to get it under your fingers. So whatever your ear is hearing in the recording, that's what you want to try to imitate with your fingers, and hopefully you'll find this fun and musically rewarding. Here's another example is pickups into measure 37. You have ba-da da da da, and then the next one is da. I'm sorry, in measure 38 you have a little bit of probably on your part, you don't have to scroll down like that. So let me just do this where you have both in view. Da 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 da. So again, you can even hear, like in measure 40, if I was to sing this to you, da 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 da, or line C is rest. Whenever I sing it to you, it sounds hopefully pretty natural. It's just that whenever you see it written, it doesn't look like something that you've seen before. So none of these they won't be too hard for you to play in terms of the grace notes in the piece. One more place I want to bring your attention to with the grace notes is the staggered entrance that's in measure 45, so pickups to 45. Da da ya da ya ya da ya, and then you have line C come in da da ya da ya da da ya, and it starts to even overlap in line D. So however this person that's playing line B plays this opening one, everyone else after that needs to imitate them. And there again, hopefully hearing how the grace notes are supposed to go will be able to get you to play them pretty fast, get them under your fingers. So Maoz, Tzur, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on. But first, you just listen to the recording along with the score. And just so you know, it's available to you. So you should have the score, you should have the recordings, so you can actually look through. And it's a fun, for me anyway, compositional project to look at all the parts and see how they fit together and then go and learn, your own line. But I actually recorded this with our band in the Texas State Guard, which is part of the Texas State Military Department. So there I am in my mask conducting, and there's our brass group. So before I let you go, though, I'm just going to let you know with Maoz, Tzur, this is a traditional Jewish song that's sung at Hanukkah. So I wrote this in honor of Jewish people, and I also wanted to let you know that the melody in it is just a little bit different, usually in America. So the version that I used in Maoz, Tzur with the grade 3 version of it is actually more popular in Britain, whereas if you look at the shorter version that I have, the grade 2, that's the American version. So the British version uses in measures 7 and 8 of the tune, not of the overall piece, but of the tune. Once the tune starts, da 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 dee, da da da. If you start counting measure 1 from the beginning of the tune, measures 7 and 8, you'll notice are different. So one is American version and one is more of a British version. So thank you again to Amir Katz, who's a part of the consortium with his guidance through the arrangement of Maoz, Tzur. And please enjoy it and use those resources and have a good time with the grace notes.